Begin at the beginning. Let's begin at number 3.
All right.
I always find that these problems make a lot more sense than their logic problems or whatever 1 and 2 require. So here's the thing with circles. If you have a central angle, that means an angle that comes from the diameter, the center of the circle. If that is 70 degrees, this arc length from here to here is also 70 degrees. Okay?
Okay.
However, if that arc is subtended by this angle down here, in other words, if I take 2 chords and intersect them on the circumference of the circle instead of the center of the circle, then this angle is always half of that arc. That would be 35 degrees. You with me?
Yeah.
So let me give you a couple of basic ones there. If that is 40 degrees, what is the measurement of that arc between those 2 points?
80.
Okay. Let's look at number 3. What's the measurement of angle A? And every problem on this page is an angle that comes from the circumference, not the center. We don't have any central angles on any of these problems. So if this arc is 84 degrees, what is this angle? Mark, did I lose audio? Are you back? I'll wait for you to log back in. Yes, you can use the same meeting ID. Mark?
Hey, David. Sorry about
All
that.
right. At least the new Windows boots up faster than the Vista did. It took me 6-7 minutes to reboot when I had Vista. Now it only takes about 2 when I have Windows 10. All right. So what is angle A for number 3?
It'd be 42.
Okay. And each of these problems, you're going to have to figure out something in advance before we can answer. In other words, we can't immediately figure out angle G. But they're giving us these two arcs. Can we figure out the arc from F to D?
Yes.
What is it?
85.
That's the total 360. All the way around the circle measures 360. So add up 70 and 120 and subtract that from 360.
170.
So that's what arc FD is 170, making angle G what?
135.
Half of 170.
Oh, 85, sorry.
Right. In other words, it's always half of whatever arc it subtends. Angle G subtends this arc FD. And that's a key word here that'll come into play with some of these other ones. So let's look at number 5.
Okay.
Those two lines, one of them is a diameter because it goes through the middle.
Okay.
So this arc must be 180. All diameters cut a circle into 280-degree arcs. And this arc must be 180.
Okay.
Well, from N to M is 160. So how much is it from M to L?
20 degrees.
So making angle N
10.
correct. Okay, this one, pretty easy. What's the measurement of RS?
RS would be 134.
Correct. On number 7, they tell us that angle, and they want the measurement from V to U. Well, what can we figure out from that angle?
There's a diameter.
Right.
So that's 160.
What is the arc TV? Okay, so what is the arc VU?
120.
120, exactly. In other words, it's 180 minus 60.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8. I'd love to be able to make this picture disappear. You have any idea how? Can you see that picture even?
Yeah.
If I right click on it. No, that's liable to do all kinds of bad things. All right. I can just put the problems outside of that. So let's see. Where did we leave off? With 7. Let's look at 8.
Yeah.
So in 8, they give us this angle. What does that allow us to measure?
The arc of WY.
Which is how much?
150.
Okay, that's 150. They tell us it's 110 from Y to X. So what is it from W to X?
100.
Okay, good. Let's go to these others because we're a little bit cramped for time, and these problems are important here. And they're not obvious either. In problem 10, BC is not parallel to AD. Okay?
Okay.
However, Notice that if you have two angles that subtend the same arc, they have to be the same. Notice that angle D subtends the arc AB, right?
Mm-hmm.
And angle C subtends the same arc, AB. So whatever
Yeah.
that arc is, angle C has to be congruent with angle D.
Okay.
Okay? What other two angles are congruent in this picture on 10? By the same reason.
A and B.
Yeah, because B subtends CD and A subtends CD. So you're going to get lots of problems where you have two different angles that both subtend the same arc. Let's look at 11. What angles are congruent?
M and L.
Correct, because they both subtend JK.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What other two?
J and K.
Correct. Okay. And number 12.
X, Y, and W, Z.
So X is the same as Y,
Yeah.
and W is the same as Z. For the same
Yep.
reason. They subtend the same arcs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at 13. We got to do some work on 13 before we can come up with the answer. They tell us this is 80 degrees. So what can we tell from that? Let's label these points.
Okay.
From that 80 degrees, what measurement of what arc do we know?
R is the same.
No, we're not looking at the same on this one. We want to know what the measurement of this is from there to there. In other words, SRQ, what is the measurement of that arc?
280.
It's twice 80. Right? In other words, this 80-degree angle subtends the arc SRQ. There's one end of the angle, there's the other end of the angle. So this has to be 160.
Okay.
Okay. So if that is 160, then how much is it going the other way? From here all the way around to there?
200.
Which makes this angle right here what? Because that arc is the one that is subtended by that angle. What they're calling X.
Okay.
X has to be 100, right?
Yeah.
Now we know everything because we know X. In other words, we have a quadrilateral whose sum of the angles has to be 360, and we know 3 of them. So this one has to be 85. The key on these problems is figuring out what arc is subtended by that angle, or that angle, or that angle, or this angle. And to figure that out, just go to the end of the two rays that make up the angle. In other words, the 80-degree angle subtends the arc from Q to R to S.
Okay.
And the angle that is subtended by angle X has to be QTS, the other half of it, the other half of the circle. So that actually turns out to be a relatively easy problem. Once you only have to solve for one variable, and then you're done. Let's look at 14.
Okay.
What is the arc from D to F? Actually, let me rephrase that. What is the arc, the measurement of DEF? In other words, the measurement of DEF. That tells you which way to go. Because when I said DF, you could just as likely have looked at this arc. But when there's extra letters, you put them in, and that tells you which way to go. In other words, if I specifically...
Is that just 120?
Here. What's that?
Is that 120?
Correct. And what's the measurement if I go the other way around? What is the measurement of DGF? It's the rest of the circle. These two arcs make up the entire circle.
240.
Okay. If that's the measurement of DGF, and DGF is subtended by M, right?
Yeah.
So what is M? Half of the arc length.
Okay.
Always half. In every problem we've done, it's always been half. The arc length that gets subtended is double that angle. So if we know the arc length is 240, then M has to be 120. And now, again, we have four angles in a quadrilateral. So we have 120 plus 60 is 240. So angle F has to be 120, which means K is 60, because 2K equals 120.
Okay.
Okay? And looks like we have just enough time to do this other problem, if I can get my thing over on it. Alright. This one's a little more complicated. It's still a quadrilateral. And they give us three arc lengths. Notice they give us from L to M, they give us from M to J, and they give us from K to L. So what's JK? Let's add that. Add all the angles. That's 240, 294. It would be 66.
Okay.
So JK, the arc JK, is 66 degrees.
Okay.
And it is not subtended by any single angle, but the arc JKL is subtended by angle M, right?
Uh-huh.
So what's the measurement of JKL? JK is
that would be
6.
Is that 118 on this side?
It's 110.
JK.
110.
Okay.
Whatever it is, we're going to assume it's 110.
Okay. So that'd be 176 degrees.
Okay. And since that is the complete arc that is subtended by angle M, what is angle M?
Half that, so that'd be
88.
Oh yeah.
Now, angle M is equal to 4B. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So B is equal to 22.
Okay.
Now, we're going to solve for A in the same way. Notice that angle L subtends the arc from M, J, K, right?
Yeah.
Well, we know JK is 66, so what is the measurement from MJK?
That'd be 66 plus 54. 120.
120, which makes angle L.
60 degrees.
So 3A is equal to 60. A is 20.
Yeah.
Okay? So all of
Yeah.
these problems have the same kind of logic. They give you enough information that you can solve for the rest of it. And then once you, in other words, the key to problem 15 rested entirely on figuring out what the measurement of JK was. Once we had the measurement of JK, then the rest of it fell into place. Even though no angle subtends JK. But we can add JK to this one to get what is subtended by that angle, and we can add JK to this one to get what is subtended by this. Now, there's no question in your mind, is there, as to what subtend means? In other words, are you confident that you realize that angle M subtends the arc JKL?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you have to be able to figure out in a lot of these problems. All right, it's a good place to stop. I will talk to you on Thursday.
Okay.
All right, Mark, have a good one.
See you, David.